Hey everyone, Coops here from the whole Box and Dice. Season greetings, happy holidays. Hope you're all having an awesome time off, and if you're already back at work, then fingers crossed you've got some time off in the new year. Got a deck profile for you all today. This is the deck that I put together for the release tournament. So we had the tournament a couple of weeks ago now, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, down in Nowra, where I was good enough to get into the top 4 with my tricolour Bionic Freezer list. Sadly, just due to Christmas lunch with my family, I had to drop before the top 8, as did my mate, and we were both playing the same list. He was 3-1, I think at the time he dropped. I was 2-2. Really happy with how this deck goes. All our wins were turn 3 or before. The deck has the ability to win on turn 2. My 2 losses were losses where I didn't see a Sayian Cabba, a Boost Attack Piccolo, or an Unyielding Spirit Trunks. And my mate's loss was when he got triple negated turn 2. So the deck is absolutely just like a firecracker. It's not here for a long time, but it's here for a heck of a good time. We use Vegeta from set 1 as our leader. We're running red-blue. We've got about 20 threats, and then the rest of the deck, the other 30 cards, are all in support of it. Let's jump straight into it. A quick refresher on Vegeta for those who may have forgotten. He's 10,000 power and activate main once per turn. Choose one card from your life and add it to your hand. You get critical. Standard Awakening at 4. And then on the flip side, choose one card from your life, add it to your hand. You get critical. If you have 7 or more blue energy, we don't get to 7 energy anyway, let alone blue. You get a 10,000 power buff. 10,000 power buff. And then you also get the standard auto draw a card when it attacks. So what are the cards that we're running in this deck? We're starting off with a playset of Sayian Cabba. Just the 1 red, 5,000 power, and when you attack, take a card from your life to boost you up to 15k and double strike. Cabba is one of the ways that not only allows us to awaken super fast with our leader, but just for the cost of 1, allows us to enable that turn 2 win. Running 3 copies of Mighty Mask, the Mysterious Warrior. I'm so glad this is 10,000 and not 5,000 power. It's great to be able to force your opponent to burn a card out of hand, or something crazy like commit to a Sensu Bean on a Mighty Mask. And then even if they take the 1 damage, then they're that much closer to us being able to kill them. Sack the Mighty Mask to go get an Unyielding Spirit Trunks or a Goten, so there's heaps of value. Running a playset of the Super Saiyan Son Goku 2-drop vanilla 15k. This can be any 2-drop 15k that you want. You can run hit if you prefer to run that, but we've just gone with the Gokus. Running 2 copies of the Son Goten. You can fetch these off Mighty Mask, and it's always just good to have some 15k beaters. Running a playset of the ability Unleash Ultimate Gohan. This is the promo, the Budokai Club. 15k, the ability to choose double strike or card draw. Super versatile card. Double red is no problems. Running 3 copies of Jiren, the Fist of Justice. 20k double striker for 4. One of the best cards, I think, in the game at the moment. I feel like Kale overshadows this card and kind of takes all the love at the 4 slot. This card is just nuts. We only want 3 copies because we don't want to have our hand chopped up with too many 10k pumps. And often we don't even get to the 4th mana to be able to charge and play Jiren. But it is nice to be able to have it in case they are able to stop our early attacks. So they're pretty much all the beaters. The rest of the cards you definitely can play as beat sticks. But if you're at that point, you pretty much should have the win locked up if you're going to be swinging in with cards like this. We'll start off with 2 copies of Manipulating God Champa. Look at the top 7 cards. You've got 1 more Manipulating God in the deck to pull, or you've got your 4 copies of Furthering Destruction to give our leader or battle card double strike. Obviously great for critical. Running a playset of Energy Boosted Majin, draw a card and a 5k pump. Also, just a great source of early game, especially if you're on the play, if you don't want to put a Cabba down, if you're worried about it being attacked, especially against something like Cell. Great to be able to put a Boo down, start that cycling of your deck. Running 4 copies of Unyielding Spirit Trunks. Our leader is blue, so not only do we get the 5k pump, but we also get to switch back 1 of our energy. The fact that you don't have to switch back blue energy is what makes this card just so versatile. Happy to see 4 copies, and remember, this is your target off Mighty Mask. Running a playset of Boost Attack Piccolo, because why not? We want to pump through to, 100,000 plus on our kill shot. This is a good way to go about it. Running just the 1 copy of Son Goten, Family of Justice in the deck. You can search this off Mighty Mask as well. If they do have something like an Android 16 or even the Piccolo 3-drop blocker, this is something that's really solid for just clearing it out. We're not too worried about things like Whis the Sacred Guard, unless they ramp into it, so like Objection turn 2, Whis turn 3, and you've been unable to finish off that amount of damage. They have tapped themselves down, though, and they can only block with it once unless they're running some kind of Zarbon trickery, so we're pretty okay even if our opponent does that. Running a playset of Ultimate Judgement Jaco. This card is great for 2 reasons. One, bouncing Cell, Tien in Cell is just so huge. Also, if you charge one of these against Cell, your opponent kind of double takes and just assumes that you have a second one in hand, and then they're very hesitant to tap down for Tien, especially if they think that you're just going to bounce it, which means they have to hard cast it on 3, and that's normally enough for us to take that game as well. What's great also about Jaco is that it is actually a 16,000 power beater, and it only requires the 1 blue, so it's super castable in this deck, as we have definitely enough blue sources. Running 3 copies of Raging Spirit Son Gohan as well. This is a great card to have, not only just being a 10k pump and having another source of blue energy, but if you don't have a turn 1 play or you feel like your opponent's going to attack you, especially in the mirror, holding on to one of these and being able to combo, get your leader up to 20k, block the crit that's incoming, or maybe even the double strike crit that's incoming, and be able to place a 15k beater back on the field is just a huge momentum swing that our opponent just really struggles to deal with. Running a playset of Furthering Destruction Champa, as I said earlier, search this one up off your Manipulating God. When you combo with this card, choose one of your attacking cards, it gains double strike. When I read this card, I do wonder, and I know we're just starting to get spoilers for the new set, it says choose one of your attacking cards. I'd love to know if we're going to get to a point where cards can attack together, potentially something like that. It would just be, an interesting development, having like a dual attack where if you have 2 certain cards on the battlefield, whether it's like before they fuse or something to that effect, you do get to attack with both of them and their power gets combined or something to that effect. Last 4 cards in the deck are 4 copies of Sensu Bean. It's the only extra card that we're running, so there's no negates, no Mafuba, nothing like that, not even a Whis' Coercion. The 4 Sensu Beans are just so we can keep pumping that turn 2 kill shot out. Obviously, it's a great card defensively, but we're almost exclusively using Sensu Bean offensively. Cast a Cabba, swing in, use Sensu Bean, untap both again, play another threat, use Unyielding Spirit Trunks, play another Cabba, and you can see quickly how we can get to huge amounts of damage, and that's why we're running 4 copies of Bean in the deck. So it's a pretty straightforward one today, guys and girls. It's just pretty much Vegeta beats. I actually took this deck, like I said, to the release event up at Top Ride. For those of you who've been following the channel, I did a mono-red aggro list for set 1 when we had store championships, and that was Vegeta-based. Wasn't really happy with how that deck went. We kind of got blown out by the straight Cabba build. I feel like it should have been a little bit closer than it was, but cards like Unyielding Spirit Trunks, the combo playfield Gohan, as well as just great cards like, Jiren, if we ever have to get to that point, the promo Gohan, they really help this deck. It's a super fast deck. Like I said, you definitely can win on turn 2, especially if our opponent taps down, just because they're going to have extra cards that they don't have access to. They're going to have 10k pumps or, +1 to combo 10ks that they just can't get out. And if they're even against Bionic Frieza, if they start casting those extra cards with their life, they're hurting themselves and they're putting themselves just that much closer to death. We have no problem with Ginyu, even though they don't really play too much in the early game against an aggressive deck like this. We just keep hammering them and eventually get to the point where they have to commit to the board eventually. They never get to 5 for a Gotenks or something like that. And we have obviously a really good matchup against those control strategies. I did end up playing the Trunks deck that featured in the ARG Orlando, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it top-8'd that list. That list is a little bit more defensive, actually, and I would actually prefer to see that become a little bit more aggressive. That's pretty much a coin flip match. If you go first, you should win that, just because you do have that energy advantage over your opponent. In the mirror, I guess, against other Vegeta builds, you've got the mono blue build, which looks to get that advantage through ramp. We're not too worried about that because we've killed that Vegeta well before it manages to establish a board against us. And that's what I really like about this deck. Originally the tournament that we were going to play in was 7 rounds, and it was going to be best of 3 in the finals, and there was a few changes to that in pretty much the 11th hour. So I did have a different deck that I was going to play, and I will do a video on that one. But just with the kind of last minute changes, I thought I'd just play something that was super fast, super aggro, hits hard, and like I said, I was really happy with all the wins that the deck got. you are pretty much at the mercy of your ability to draw the threats at the right time. You know, you're looking for Cabbas, you're looking for Unyielding Spirit Trunks, you're even kind of looking for a Sensu early game, not necessarily hanging on to one in the mulligans, but drawing into one. So you've got to make sure you have that blue charge so you can get that refresh of your 2 out of 3 energy, and just keep that, keep that momentum going. So, like I said, super happy with this deck. It's a very easy deck to play once you learn the lines. The mulligans, we had 4 of things like Jiren and the combo play Gohans originally in the deck, and they were just clogging up the deck a little bit, so we scaled back the numbers on them. There's not a lot of decks that this deck really has any problem with, just because, your opponent has to ironically mulligan into horrible hands like triple negates on turn 2 for them to actually have a chance, whereas you would never feel comfortable keeping a hand like that, irrespective of the leader, just because you'd feel like you've got no ability to put a threat on the board. So, hope you enjoy this one, guys and girls. Hit the thumbs up button if you do. Let me know if you've seen some decks like this or any cards that you'd change. Really enjoy the Mighty Mask interaction that you can pull off. Vegeta is already such a powerful leader, and this deck certainly helps add to that repertoire. It's a pretty cheap deck to put together as well. If you've been getting the Participation Budokai Club promos, you just need 3 Jiren. So price-wise, it's actually pretty reasonable given everything that's going around at the moment. But I have a few more decks on their way shortly for you all. So let me know what you think about this one. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to help us out, kick us a buck on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. My name is Coops. This is the whole Box and Dice. Peace.